Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are having a good week, and here in the Midwest we finally have some sunshine and some really actually summer-like weather, so I've been gardening and doing a lot of things outside, but I did take some time to make these little journals. These were quilt pieces and I was inspired just to turn these into small journals, and today I want to flip through those with you and show them to you. So these are same size pretty much. They're about 4.5, not counting this sticking out, by 6, and they will be in my Etsy shop a little bit later today, and they have about, well, I think they have 40 pages exactly in them. They're very similar but different colors. This one is kind of a blue and yellow theme. This one is green and yellow. So these were quilt pieces, and the back is just excuse me, the back of a quilt piece, and I left that plain, and I kind of just like the wrinkly look of the quilt. And then for the closure, I took a crochet doily and I hand stitched it with some embroidery floss on the back, and then it just wraps around and buttons on the front. So that's the same for each journal. This one has some green embroidery floss and a tea-stained doily and this cute little green and brown button with the bright green floss. So, and then there's a little bit of lace sticking out on both of them. So they're similar in style but completely different inside. So let's show you the blue one first. So when you open it up, it is lined with this pretty fabric, and in the front pocket there is a greeting card that you can use for extra journaling space, and this is some old paper from an old scrapbook, and there's a little pocket on the front and the back made with lace. And then there's a botanical that is stitched to some handmade paper, followed by some vintage wallpaper and vintage botanicals with some stitching of this beautiful wallpaper. Stitching shows through on the back. And this is a little bit of washi that has like a watermark type symbol. This is a really old little receipt that I turned into a tab on some tea-stained paper. This is a little piece of fabric. Now this is an old bird page, and I had some issues when I was making these because some of the papers are really old and really fragile, like this one, and it kind of, well, the page tore in half basically. So I decided, instead of trying to make it bend, that I would just attach it into the journal onto another page. So the washi here holds the bird page. There's this sweet little ruffle on here. And this page also, this is a really old dictionary page, and they are attached to this page in the journal with more washi. And this is, if you bend this, it kind of breaks. It's so old. So this, the thought of this is you can just tear from this, cut from this, and use this in your journal to collage. You could attach stuff to it as well to make it sturdier. It just is really old and really fragile. So these two pages are attached to another page. And in this little pocket that I made with vintage wallpaper and lace, there's a vintage playing card and this old tally card that I have embellished on with book page and wallpaper. Okay, so I hope that was clear. And here's vintage wallpaper, and this is eco-dyed paper that I made, I don't know, a couple years ago. And here's some fabric stitched to this side of the eco-dyed paper, book pages, a little snippet of lace. Here is the center with some vintage ledger paper and a little snippet of such pretty embroidery on there that's attached to that eco-dyed paper. And here we go again. This is the same concept on this side. More of that book page dictionary that is so old, and the rest of the bird page. So again, those are attached to this page instead of being sewn into the journal. I just love that. Stripes with florals in them, some of my favorite. And here's some really pretty border on here with the vintage wallpaper coming through. Vintage botanical. And this is a piece of that really old scrapbook. It was actually a scrapbook someone made about the Cub Scouts, and I just stitched in a few places, here, here, and here, to attach that to the wallpaper. And here's the back. And in the back of this one, I have a vintage little perforated paper, some wallpaper, and this is a big ledger receipt. Well, it's long and skinny. Some fabric and a things to do little piece of paper that you could journal on. So these are things that you can use in the journal just to have fun with. So there's number 1, and here's the green one. So, and this one is lined with this really sweet vintage fabric. So this one is more in the greens and yellows, and here's a really pretty daisy card, and this botanical stitched to handmade paper, vintage botanical. This one has pockets made of wallpaper, and in the pockets I've just put a piece of that scrapbook, and these are some vintage botanical black and whites. And here's another piece of that receipt made into a tab. And vintage wallpaper. I just found this wallpaper recently on some ledger paper, and this sweet piece of fabric. The eco-dyed paper with some lace trim here. I love how you can just see it coming through with the stitching. And this is a little piece of that scrapbook, and I simply just took some embroidery floss and attached it to this little piece of lace, and on the back you can flip the lace up and journal here. And here is the bird page. So again, they're very old and very fragile, and they're just kind of torn, and but I love the look of it. I love the colors, how they played into this journal, so I attached it to this book page with the wallpaper in the same fashion. So again, really old dictionary page that you could tear from. And in this pocket, I have put a vintage playing card, and then this is part of that Cub Scout magazine or scrapbook page, and I just collaged on that. So there's that. And I love this. I really like this. This is the center. And this book page just carried over here. There was some writing on this side, but I wanted you to be able to journal here, so I put this old autograph paper here and folded down the top to keep the holes stitched here, and then the stitching shows through from this wallpaper, which I think looks so pretty. And I just tore it out right here to follow the form of the flower. And then here we have another piece of lace where I just hand stitched with embroidery floss this book page with this scrapbook piece on it, so you can flip this up if you need to see what you journaled. And then on the back, it's just attached right here. This is the eco-dye paper with some lace and that pretty fabric. There's a little snippet of wallpaper sticking out down here, tea stain paper, and then in this pocket I just have the other part of the bird page and some more dictionary paper, the botanical in the back, and poem on the back of here. And in this pocket, the perforated paper, one of those big blue receipts, and a really big yellow envelope that you could play with. It's been tea stained, so you could use that in your journal. I'm going to put the card back in here, and there you have these two journals. So I really, really like the way they turned out. I love the button closure. You just have to kind of work it to get the button in. And I did leave these, each one, I did not pull this doily tight on either one of these because I wanted you to have room for expanding. So there is room that you can push this out. And so that's all I have for today. I hope you guys are having a great day. Have a good week, and I will see you next time. Bye.